Okay. So the final one, P, is purposeful movement. And I see a lot of people who typically men will wander, right? And I've had CEOs tell me, of big companies, oh, I wander a little bit. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, oh no, I do worry about it. Right. Because when you walk out on stage and you wander, like it takes everybody's mind off of what you're saying. And all of a sudden they're not listening to you at all. They're just wondering when you're going to pounce, because you're pacing back and forth up there. And typically that's what men do in the bell curve of my experience. What women do more often is a little more subtle. They'll like kind of cross their ankles and get a little bit off balance and lean and stuff like that. And neither of those things is helping. Movement, when it's not purposeful, is distracting, and it's tremendously harmful to your message. And other times people will do kind of self-soothing things and they won't even really realize they're doing it, but they're, waggling back and forth or, tapping their hand and they don't realize it. So notice what you're doing, notice the movements that you're making and make them purposeful. So if you're on a stage, maybe you want to start in the middle and say something and talk for a little bit. And then maybe you want to walk 2 or 3 steps to the right side of the stage and talk to that part of the audience for a minute. And then stride a few, steps to the other side and talk to this part of the audience for a little bit. And then come back to the middle and end your speech. Whatever it is you want to do, great. Just make sure that your movements are purposeful, and that once you move to a place or move to another place, you stay there for a minute and you make that movement purposeful. And don't be afraid to just stand still and use your hands. That's really good. And gesture and look around, but you don't have to be walking around all the time. Yeah. And when you do that wandering, it gets really, really distracting. So let's put it all together. Big things you can do. The first one is what we talked about at the very beginning: warm up the room. Start making that connection the minute that you show up. Try and talk about things that are important to both of you. And, reading someone's LinkedIn profile before you meet with them is not stalking, right? It's okay to go read their LinkedIn profile and some of the stuff they're posting. And if they scuba dive and you scuba dive and you don't bring that up, you're missing a really good opportunity to make an emotional connection that will ultimately help you do business with this person better. Make sense?